Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to discuss the third module, which is product design and development. We understand that customers use innovations and inventions to create new products and to make profit. It doesn't matter whether a marketer is going to use an innovation or an invention, they still need to follow the product development stages. Okay, so what are we going to look at today? Well, first of all, we're going to connect the product development back to the 4Ps and really trying to establish that connection. So, kanang 4Ps, di siya buot pasabot katong Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program, but that means product, price, promotion, and place. And then next is we're going to identify product. What kung unsa na nga product and what is the difference between product and service. And we'll also take a look at the actual stages of product development. And lastly, we'll construct the house of quality. So before we get into the stages of the product development, we need to understand where it falls in the marketing process. Basically, dili mahimo ang usa ka product until we've come up with a conceptual product idea. So, the idea of your product kung paunsa siya gihimo o who is going to satisfy. So, the profile of your target market as well as who will be your competitors and who do you have to be aware of. And then, once nga ma-figure out na nimo ni sila, then you move on to the product and the 4Ps of our marketing plan. So the first P is product. What should we call it now? This is a product and it fits within the marketing mix of the 4Ps. For example, the Ford Raptor, milk teas, PLDT or Smart, iPhones, Jollibee, Hershey's Chocolate, Cebu Pacific, and Globe. All of these are product and service providers. So what do you mean by product? Product is a good, service, or idea consisting of a bundle of tangible and intangible attributes that satisfies consumers and is received in exchange for money or some other unit of value. So a product can be a good or service or even an idea which consists of both tangible things you can touch and intangible attributes, whether it is product such as a good or service or an idea. It's going to satisfy consumers in some way nga masatisfy ang ilang needs o ang ilang wants. And consumers will exchange money for your products or some other unit of value. Product planning or development refers to the systematic decision-making related to all aspects of the development and management of a firm's product. So, it is about the decision-making involved in paghimo sa service, sa product or idea, whether tangible and intangible aspects. So all the aspects of development that we need to recognize is what we will cover next in the stages of the product development. New products are created as the result of an idea or perceived gap in the current world. So the new products are created because consumers need or want them. There's a gap in the current market because the world doesn't have a product that exists that will satisfy those needs or those wants. And because of this gap, the marketers and the companies won't develop products to satisfy this that will fill this gap. So the question that every marketer needs to answer why don't I just create and sell that product? So why dili na ako i-create og ibaligya na nga product? So kung kaya nimo, well, buhaton nimo. And therefore, if a product is successful, it must have a desirable attributes for the target market. So kinahanglan gid nga magustuhan gid sa imong mga customer or sa imong mga prospective customer ang imong nga product. And it will be unique. Dapat pud siya nga unique pud siya, wa siya kapariha. And if it is not either of these things, kung dili siya magustuhan sa customer o dili po siya unique, it is doomed to fail. Ma-failure gud ang imong product. So, once you determine the fact that you need to create this product, you then are going to answer these questions. Can you produce it? And can you sell it? This is something that we look at with a feasibility study, and something that we will refer to and revisit many times over in the next following lessons. So if the feasibility study finds that the idea is worth pursuing and that is doable, the product development process begins. So this process involves 8 stages, and every product needs to go through each of these 8 stages in order to then to be brought to the market and in order to be sold to the consumers. So the stages are as follows: idea generation, idea screening, concept development, market strategy, feasibility analysis or study, product design, test marketing, and market entry. Nakabantay mo nga ang feasibility analysis is actually not the first stage because many other stages precede that. However, it is always a good idea to always have in the back of your mind whether or not the product will be feasible. So the first stage is all about idea generation. What ideas do you have? What new products do you think could be successful? Will these new products be inventions or innovations? Whether or not they are inventions or innovation, some point someone generated these ideas. An idea to produce a product or service that is not currently available is this first stage. So, the idea of a flying car, the idea of an iPad or a tablet device, the idea that you can play video games without using controller. All of these amazing ideas started at this first stage. So the second stage is about screening the idea. The very simple fact is that not all ideas are good ones. Case in point, the new Coke. Research that if you want to find out more about that. Or the McPizza. And then the other one is the Heinz. They decided that at one point they wanted to make their ketchup green and blue and other colors. Diba? Not great ideas. So therefore, marketers need to test consumers' reactions to their idea before they continue. Oftentimes, consumer reactions is positive and yet the product still fails. So it's not a definite answer to whether or not you should produce it, but it's something that you need to consider. And that the consumer reaction to your products is something you need to consider. So the idea is really just to throw around the idea, see what people think, get their feedback, and make modifications and assess whether or not kung maayo ba siya nga idea about ana nga product. And then the third stage is the concept development. Again, not all ideas are good ones. However, if you receive positive feedback, then you need to move along and develop a prototype. Really, the idea here is that you've identified the idea the product is a good one, that the market demand exists, and that competition will prevent you for being successful. If you've answered yes to this question, then you will develop a prototype. Example, the stage that will follow you to see the actual product, how it works, and the target market can then be brought in and really see how it works and provide feedback for improvements. So the best example of concept development as far as products are the automobiles. So every single car goes through the stages, and we see concept cars are at auto shows. So these concept cars are ideas. They've been screened and they've been created clay models that consumers can really check out and assess whether or not they like this car or not now. It's time to move on to the market strategy. This is your marketing strategy. How are you going to address each of the 4Ps? Who will define each of these 4Ps because you want to be optimally sell your product? Okay, you want to make sure that it addresses the target market needs or wants, as well as who will identify who your primary target market is and your secondary target market. So, kinahanglan naa jud kay marketing strategy, no, to ensure nga ma-reach out dyan nimo tong imong mga prospective nga consumers. At the same time that you're developing your market strategy, you may or may not be developing your feasibility analysis. So once you've done your product design, once you've kind of addressed your 4Ps, or at the same time, you then need to ask various questions. Do you have the materials and labor required to produce this product? Does the price of production going to be way too high? Do you have the distribution channels in place to get your product to the consumer? And what about promoting your product? How will you do this? It will be cost effective. So basically, again, you are answering this very simple question. Can you make and sell this product while making money doing? So again, at the same time that you're doing your feasibility analysis and your market study, you're designing your product and continuously adding the consumer's feedback. And the feasibility analysis question and the answers of those questions into your product design, you're incorporating all this information. So what will the product look like? Unsay itsura sa imuhang product? Then, ang imo pong design, nagdepende po na siya kung unsay gusto sa imuhang target market. So, you can't just make a product that is just simply functional. It needs to satisfy the target market's wants. And so once you've addressed your 4Ps, you continuously revisit the feasible and you continuously address the product design. It's now go to the test marketing. So you need to test the acceptance of the product. Kung ganahan ba ang mga customer ana, kung madawat ba nila ng a product, kung mupalit ba sila ana down the road. So this occurs by offering the product to a random sample of your target market. So this is something that we look back at the marketing research. The consumer feedback is in this test markets will improve your product venture, improve your product, and determine whether the product should officially go to the market. And if the test marketing is successful, it's now moves on to the market entry. So this is where the product is officially in the market and being sold to all. So pwede na nimo ibaligya ang imo nga product. So the product life cycle now begins and will go through this product life stages, but the life of this product will be determined by the consumers, by the competition, and further product advances. And so, no matter what you've done up until this point, there's a lot of unknowns that will influence your products, and you need to be aware of this. Okay, so the product development process or systems following these simple steps or these 8 steps of the product development system, you will hopefully not guarantee but hopefully improve your chances for successful products. You will hopefully gather profit from this. You will hopefully compete with the existing competitors. Then this process, however, needs to constantly be revisited. You need to constantly improve your products, i-update nimo imong mga products, then stay ahead of your competitors, and so many companies will continuously revisit this product development process. So what makes a successful product? Think about the 8 stages of product development. So what do you think will determine whether or not a product will be successful? What activities are involved with idea screening? Is it a simple matter of do you like it or not? So think about these questions. And my next topic is all about quality function development. So I'm going to start this topic with a simple question, which is, are you a consumer centric? Is your company or your business producing goods according to the consumers? If yes, then you have to understand the consumer's needs. And for that, you need to align your business processes and activities in such a way that they are able to fulfill your customers' demands. And for that, we have quality function deployment. Quality function deployment refers to both determining what will satisfy the customer and translating those customer wants and identify alternative process solutions. So what actually quality function development is? So let's take a look into, so here, these 3 components, which are a voice of a customer, areas of improvement, and evaluation of the activities. So the quality function development will helps you to know what your customer is demanding, how you would evaluate your activities, or how would you align your activities to fulfill those customers' needs. Also, what are the areas of improvement which are left and what new innovation can be done to fill in the gaps of the customers. So, how to make this whole thing systematic? That is the main question. So that's to a house, and what house is this? So this house is the house of quality. The house of quality is a graphic technique for defining the relationship between customer desires and product or service. The house of quality has all these major components. So I'm going to go into the details of each one with them one by one. So first of all, we have voice of the consumers, means what the consumer is demanding. I-identify nimo kung unsay gusto sa prospective consumers and ang product. Then we have a technical requirements, which are what would be the methodology to fulfill those consumers' needs. I-identify nimo kung paunsa or how the goods or service nga makasatisfy sa imong customers' wants. And then we have the relationship matrix, which is the most important one that we will be understanding through an example nga akong ihatag later on. So relationship matrix shows you what is the correlation between the customer's wants and the product house. Then we have the roof of this house or atop, which shows the interrelationship and the goal or the correlation between the house, which are the technical requirements. And then we have the competitive evaluation or the assessment, which tells us how is the company performing comparison to the competitors. So it shows your position in the market. And last but not the least, we have the basement or the technical requirement priorities, which tells you and evaluates the house and about how you can fulfill your target. So now we have an example. So in the example, our product is the chocolate chip cookies. So let's go into the details of the house of quality for the chocolate chip cookies. So this is the customer's desire or the customer's requirement, which are the good texture, the low price, tastes good, ample quantity, and appearance. And this column naman, this is how customers rate the requirements from the on the scale of 1 to 5. So as you can see nga, ang pinakadako or the major or maybe the most preference is given to taste good, which means that it is the most important thing that the customers are demanding. So over here are the technical requirements, which are the color, the tensile strength, the weight, the thickness, the cost per cookie, and the density of chocolate chips. So let's take an example. So this symbol over here is a strong, then this is medium, and this is weak. So we can see in the good texture and the tensile strength have a strong relationship. So we've given a number 9 to it. And then over here, we have the ample quantity and the thickness have a medium relationship. So we've given this symbol and we have numbered as 3. And then we have this column, we have the ample quantity and the weights, which has a weak relationship. So how do we get these important ratings? So let's look into the details of that. So simply we need to multiply the technical requirements and the customer's requirement and then add to it. Let's say for instance 9 times 3. 9 times 3 equals 27. So there's no other number here, so the ratings of the color is 27. And moving on here, 9 times 4 is equal to 36. So the ratings of the tensile strength is 36. And then the 9 times 4 equals 36. And then 1 times 1 equals 1. So 36 plus 1 equals 36. And so on and so forth. So as you can see that this 37 mo siya pinakadako nga ratings. So it means that this is the most important rating and the highest ones, hence that the weight is the most important technical requirements to look. But then we need to see this again, that the thickness is given less priority, and hence we can introduce some technical attributes and evaluations that we can add up more innovations or maybe more improvements in this area. So now we're moving to the roof part, which shows the interrelationship between technical requirements. So here are the symbols, the strong positive, positive, strong negative, and negative. So as we can see here that the weight and the thickness have a strong positive relationship, while cook cost of per cookie and the density of chocolate chips have a strong negative relationship. So, and this positive sign indicate that the tensile strength and the density of chocolate chips have a positive relationship. So moving on, we move to the competitive evaluation or assessment. So over here, we have company A and company B. Hypothetically, we had given them rating. The consumers actually are giving this company's ratings according to their needs. And then the bottom or the basement of the house of quality, we have the technical attributes and the evaluation. So here is the whole picture of what I've explained you about the house of quality. So, what are the benefits of constructing a house of quality? So, the benefits of constructing a house of quality include a customer's needs and requirements are established, then used to build and prioritize service offerings and products, identifying customers' needs and desires, then ensuring they are achieved, leads to customer satisfaction and loyalty. Thank you for watching.